Hey, good morning. This is Ben with Studio on the Lake. This is a little quick version while we wait for winter to subside here in the North Woods. That's what we're hoping for on the lake soon. And winter came a little early this year, so we've got 3 or 4 foot of snow on the ground and more coming, and that's kind of what it looks like right now. And that's what we're hoping for. Hey, this is a clock post for my dragon lamp that sits beside my chair, and as a short bonus, while I was waiting for stuff to dry, I built a little clay knife for cutting tiles for ceramic clay. So it didn't have to be very sharp. It was made out of a hacksaw blade, and it was kind of interesting. Not very fancy, but it's something to look at. The squirrels figured out how to pull the lid off the feed can, and they're stealing all the peanuts out of there. Hey, there's what it looks like. It sits beside my chair. I had a little helicopter sitting there with a clock in it from years and years ago. And it quit working. Here's that knife real quick. Not the prettiest thing. I didn't film much of it. But there's a little bonus clip of that towards the end there. So I went ahead and ordered, 1 3/4 inch. I was thinking something along the lines of a clock post like you'd see in a town, maybe New England, over in England. But I sit in my chair and the lamp sits beside my chair, and I look over to my right and constantly check the time. So here I took a piece of burled wood, which is kind of interesting. And I'm trying to figure out where I need to saw it in half, because it's about twice as long as it needs to be to get this to fit in there. There's not a whole lot to this. I like the burl on that side. I just put a rough dot around there to see where the clock is going to go into that, and there it is, sawn in half. I may at some point find one of the small carvings I do with no use for and stick something on top of that, but till then, that's going to be just a little clock post. So I'm going to recess that and set it in. There's the marking for it. That's my typical style. Speeded that video up for you. Not a whole lot here to see. There's my burning pen, using it as a stop cut, and I'll come back with the grinder. There's no sense in using hand tools with this. It's the burl, it goes every which direction. There's a mini grinder with a cuts-all bit in it. The clock has a little face on the front of it, maybe 1/8 of an inch around on the bezel on the outer portion. So a little tricky getting that laying there flat and recessing there. Then the clock also has a plastic piece that sits around it, which allows it to press fit in there. I can pull it out and change the time. It has a battery, so it doesn't need wound, but eventually you'll need to change the battery in that clock, and if it's not a high dollar timepiece, it will lose or gain time. So there's without the finish. I haven't smoothed the bottom of that. I just went ahead and put some I don't know what the heck that is, urethane, gloss urethane on it, make it look like the rest of the lamp. Really fun burl. Could have found several different uses for that, I'm sure. There's the lamp pulled out to the studio, and there's where the clock is going to go on that. There's a video out there on the making of that lamp. It's a dragon lamp. Lots of little pieces of gnomes and birds and hummingbirds. Carvings I goofed around with and didn't know what to do with. Eventually turned them into a lamp. I went ahead and put a drywall screw in the bottom of that, cut the end of it off, and it's just screwed on there, screwed down. I'm not going to glue it. Poof, just like that, magic. That's what it looks like when it sits there. Let's sit up on the other bench. I apologize, the lighting's not that great over there. Got a light in the corner they should have turned on, but I didn't. And here's your little bonus clip. We needed a cheap knife for cutting clay. So I took a hacksaw blade, which I've never done before, and just broke it off, shaped it real quick, threw it in a piece of hardwood, and I tried to make it so it fit in your hand, comfortable. I didn't want to donate a good knife for chopping clay, because clay really could be cut with a plastic knife. I found it was pretty sharp once I put a bevel on it, and so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and run it on the diamond hone there real quick, just for kicks and grins. And then I went ahead and stropped it, and I was kind of surprised at how sharp this thing turned out to be. I've spent half a day working with tool steel and grinding it down, and this thing was made in about 20 minutes, and it puts a lot of those to shame. There it is, carving basswood. You can see it makes a really nice clean, and I did not spend any time on this thing at all. I think sharpening it was less than 2 minutes to grind it, and a minute to strop it. And as you can see, the rivets, I didn't bother to do a whole lot of work with that. They're flush, you can't see that in there. And I left the finish rough. So that's your bonus knife in the middle, and that's the clock. Short little video, probably not worth much. Once again, this is Ben for Studio on the Lake. Subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.